Hello, my viewers. Welcome to the second session of the chapter called as India's Foreign Policy and Global Challenges. Now, in this session, we are going to learn regarding the rest of the topic in the form of global challenges and India's role. So, two topics here. So, what are those global challenges are there, and what type of role is of India's? Now, when we are using the word called as a global, it means that the problem is also with the which one? It will be arised in the where in the country called as India. India is also going to face this problem because India also come under the where under the in this global itself. So all the nations, what different problems they are been facing, and what is the stand of India regarding the global challenges. So here some of the global challenges are there: denial of human rights, arms race, economic inequality, terrorism. Now these four are not a small challenges. They are quite very big challenges it is there. As we very well know that India, since from the 1947 to the 2024, India has developed lot. India not only developed on the economy base, India has developed on the economically way, politically, as well as regarding the other situation, whether it may be socially part, it may be there. The progress of the India in this 75 years, we have seen that India continually faced many challenges which he has faced. It slowly went on curbing those challenges, and today India stands among the 50 strong nations economically. India's role, as in our last session, as I said, that India is standing on the fifth largest economy of the world, which shows what that there is a tremendous progress as because of focus was related to globalization. Focus was making the all the number of nations to move together. This was the concept which was being kept in the mind of, but there are many number of global challenges were been there until today somewhere we are been facing also. So here, India is having its strong position related to those number of issues, and he always raises the issues at the General Assembly of UNO. The General Assembly of UNO is nothing but it's a parliament of the world where all the number of nations representative will speak up related to the global challenges, so that the voice of that should reach to the whole world, and every country should work for it. Keeping that in mind, India also works related to the challenges, whether it is in his country or it's related to outside of the country. In his country, it becomes its responsibility to very properly focus on the issues. Regarding the external part, if it is been done, what help can be done by the government or by the India is being done by the home by the country. Okay, so some of the serious challenges like denial of human rights. Denial of human rights, we very well know that, dear, that all the humans who have taken birth on this earth, they have not taken birth this on the earth to become a slave. They all are having the opportunity to live independent without depending on others. They are having the rights to live, right to speak, right to enjoy all the things which are needed for the development of a human being. But it was been found that some of the nations, they tried to exploit the human rights. And in the section, it was even found that the people raised their voice against whom? Against the those people who tried to eradicate or try to exploit the rights of the humans. India is one of the biggest example where our rights were being taken by the whom? By the British. American Revolution is there, French Revolution is been there, right? Which shows what it is that people, when they are been quite very frustrated, they raise their voice against whom? Against the that rule which was making them to lose all the rights. And without the rights or without the happiness, nothing we are unable to live happily. This is the reason India strongly condemns related to denial of which one of the human rights. Every human being who has born, he is having the rights to live happily. British, who used to say blacks are born in this earth to serve to the white. According to them, blacks are nothing but they are should be like a slave. India, the British used to treat Indians as like as a dogs. So they used to paste outside of their home. Dogs are not allowed. Such era was also been seen. But it was UNO who was established in the 1945, and that was where the strong countries like America, Russia, France, England played a major role, and the day came when 10th of December 1948. 10th of December, 10th December 1948, right? This was a year which was related to adaptation of universal human rights, universal declaration of human rights. What? 10th December 1948, what was been done? Universal declaration of human rights. Now, this is from the year that we have seen that the countries, many number of nations, whether we can say that whether it was a related autocratic rule, it may be there. Now, if we take example of a Germany, the dictator called as a Hitler, right, who went how he felt to move and made the country to fell into the World War. This shows what it is that the rights of the people were being taken. The rights of the people were being taken. Now, this declaration in the UNO, in the General Assembly, which I said it's a parliament of the world, where it was adopted that universal human rights should be given, where every human being is having the right to live happily. Every year 10th of the December, we celebrate it as a universal human right day, is celebrated throughout the world. Even in India is also being celebrated. The biggest thing was being eradicated was related to slavery. This was the biggest challenge in front of the world. India opposed it. India is in a favor of giving the rights to the people, not in a favor of the to make the people in a form of slaves. Human trafficking, kidnapping, child labor, exploitation to the women's, these all are been strictly observed by the UNO in all the nations. India, like a country, India has tackled it in a very proper way to stop the exploitation, human rights here in this country called as India. Or if you take the Constitution of India also, where there are six fundamental rights, which gives the rights to religion, which gives the right to speak, which gives the right to live how we want to live, right? These rights has promoted or made the Indians to be free in the country called as India. Today, throughout India, no such exploitation is being done in any of the form, whether it may be related to the human trafficking, it may be there, or whether it may be related to the slaves or related to the exploitation of the women. Cultural rights are being given, fundamental rights are being given, right? Moreover, national level and at the state level, national commissions were being created, state commissions are being created to overcome, to stop if any sort of exploitation is being done. So our constitution gives the authority to all the number of Indian citizens to live happily. This is the reason India, which is called as the biggest democracy country in the world, India strongly follow the word called as a democracy. India strongly opposes to those all nations who try to disturb the word called as a democracy. On this form, what we are seeing that it is been working. Which one? Human rights related to that. Now another word is related to the arms race. This is also one of the biggest global challenges. Arms race it is. Every country is engaged in the production of the different forms of arms and ammunition. Yes, if the arms and ammunition is being used for the protection of themselves, for the protection of their country from the encroachers, and only during that time if the weapons are being used, then it's all right. Or if the weapons which are being prepared, that weapons, right, instead of using it only for the protection purpose, if it is been done, then also it's what it is okay. But if the production of the arms is being done keeping in a mind of that country has produced that much of strong weapon, then I should prepare a weapon more than that destructive, then we are on a wrong path. And the result is 1945 drop of nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki of the Japan. One side Russia, one side United States of America, who fought. And after 1945 to till today 2024, United States of America and Russia, who are the permanent member of the UNO, but they are like an enemy of each other, and both the country are busy in the way in the development of the weapons. Today the time has came of the disarmament, eradicating of the weapons, harmful weapons. These harmful weapons can totally destroy the whole human system. This is the reason where presently we are saying that every country for the profit purpose, every country are producing different forms of weapons, right? From the biological bombs, weapons to the hydrogen bombs, from the biological to the hydrogen to the nuclear bombs. These bombs are nothing but they are spoiling the peace of the world, the sweat of the people of the country. Eisenhower once said, the sweat of the people of the country, it is going waste as the sweat of that countryman is been used. If it is been used for the good purpose, then there would be development of the country. But if it is used for the wrong purpose, then it's nothing but it's a spoil of their own country itself, as those things can convert into disaster, and the whole nation has to face of these all things. Keeping this in the mind, now the countries which were being divided, right, today throughout the world, all the countries have came together to go with the word called as a disarmament, reduction of the weapons from their bags, right? Those are which one? Those are which are very harmful nuclear, those which are harmful, very harmful weapons which are there. Now slowly by slowly, even the powerful nations like Russia, it may be there, the powerful nation like America, it may be there, England, France, every country are been day by day reducing the those bombs which can create a damage to the whole humanity. Many number of agreements were being signed between the different nations, whether in the name of CTBT, whether in the name of SALT, whether in the name of NPT. Okay, many strategic agreements were being done between the nations and nations, and the purpose only what it is that to eradicate the bombs from the way from their pockets, so that humans can be saved, this world can be saved. India is playing a very important role in this, in making, as India follow on the Buddha's principles called as peace. Yes, India is also having the nuclear bombs. Yes, India is also very strong related to the weapons, but India's policy is no first use. India's history since from long 10,000 years, it has been found that India never raised its voice first. But yes, he has given or he has taught the lesson to the opponent who tried to raise his eyes against the country called as India. India stands behind those all nations who are in a deep need of the protection from the powerful nations. India is playing a very, very important role in eliminating the harmful weapons from the world. So India's voice is being listened nowadays. It's because world very well knows that if like incident like Second World War, if again it takes place, then this earth is not going to survive. As present day itself in the year 2024, we are seeing that there are many number of nations are there who are been fighting with each other by using the different weapons. You might be knowing that Russia Ukraine war is been going on. Israel is fighting at the with the seven other nations and the Arabs. America is fighting with the America and Russia. They are been fighting, right? Indirectly they are engaged in the war. China Taiwan war, India, Pakistan, Korea, North Korea, South Korea, right? Azerbaijan, Armenia, many nations are being engaged in the war, but the result is only, the result is destruction, destroy of the world. So India, who teaches the peace to the whole world, trying to make the world to listen his voice and to establish the peace. And even the world is also listening to the voice of India, as India is a follower of peace and India always tries to stop the wars between the two nations. So this is all regarding the word called as a arms race. It has been there. Our next topic which speaks about which one about the economic inequality. Speaks about economic inequality. The present day and the world, or we can say the world family is facing a lot of problem regarding the economy of the countries. If we go a little bit past of the number of nations, right? Before 1950, if we move, we can listen or we can see that many number of nations suffered economically. Many number of nations suffered, and that too in the specific in that Asia, Asian plus African, who suffered a lot. As in the Asia and in the African, it was the policy like colonialism. It was a policy like colonialism, right? Imperialism policies, colonialism policies has totally disturbed the economy of the these Asians as well as the Africans. Economically, drawback will make all those nations to create many number of more issues in their own country itself if there is a economically backwardness. See, when we are talking about the country means it where the number of people live, and all the people make a form a government for the purpose that the government should work for the welfare of them. And when we jump into the where and into the country's issue, we see that there are many number of problems are will be there, whether it may be related to the upliftment of the poverty, sorry, eradicating of the poverty. It may be generating of the employment opportunities. It may be using of the those natural resource, that too in a proper way. It may be related to that, it may be there. Okay, it may be related to the culturally part, it may be there, socially or politically it may be there. Every country want to develop, but for that what is required? Huge amount of development of a economy has been required. When we talk about the African and Asian nations, it has been found that these African and Asian nations, they suffered lot under the in the name of colonialism, in the name of imperialism, where the wealth of these nations were being looted in a different form. If we take example of India itself, it has been found that the economy of India drastically it decreased, not because of the Indian itself. It was because of the British who Regularly, decade by decade, they started eradicating the economy of our country in a different way, which caused what it is that India faced an economically problem. In the same way, when we talk about African nations, they were also being ruled by the Europeans, which even caused what is their economy was also been completely it was been destroyed. From 1945 onwards, when UNO was being formed, where India gave a major focus related to help to those all nations who are economically backward by providing them financial assistance. Many powerful nations came forward and even they also provided the financial assistance to the many number of nations to eradicate the economic inequality. As if it was been not done, let us think that if this was been not done, what would happen? If it was not done, if the economy of African and Asian nations were not pushed, then till today in the year 2024, all the number of nations would be like as a slave. Why? It is because there would be a rule of only one in the form of monopoly. Monopoly. Those nations which are very rich, they used to continue give the money to the home to the those nations who are in need of it by making their rules and regulations, their conditions, apply of their conditions on the nations, which we would be more harmful to the nation one who takes the money from the other nations. So to overcome our this, right, different steps were being taken at a regular intervals so that economically every country can be pushed. And nowadays, if you talk, two big subject are one of the biggest challenge to the world, to those nations which are not developed or which are in the developing stage or which are underdeveloped. And these two are, one is poverty, one is unemployment. As human being, right, family which has been increasing day by day, and on the base of increase of day by day, even the requirements are also been increasing. To overcome our these requirements, government has to take up some different steps, whether whether usage of its natural resources, or it may be in the any other forms it may be there, right? Now here, when in this such situation, if everything is been used in a very proper way, then it's a no issue. But do all the countries are self sufficient in that? Now many of the nations, they are very good in the way in the technology, and many of the nations who still today striving to have that technology, so they are dependent on the other nations for the technology purpose, because the world now present day it stands on the totally on the technology. And the country which is having more and more progressive of the technology, that country will only it is been found that it is standing on the right position. India, it didn't reach to the fifth position as the economically strongest nation in the world. It took a long decades to reach up to this stage. And India adopted went on adopting the new technology in his what in his development of the economy. The same thing it is needed to all the other nations which are being existed in the world. India supports, or India stands back behind those all nations who stands for the which one, for the economic equality in the way in the world, instead of giving the importance to whom, to one particular nation, or giving the importance to only few particular nations. As these backward nations, they are in a lack of many number of things. You can take example of lack of their infrastructure, lack of their education, lack of generating the employment opportunities, lack of industrialization, lack of mechanization, right? Lack of human labors, if we can say. These all things have been made what it is that the countries are facing the different problems. But moreover, it is also very important to know regarding that the countries, right, which are called themselves as a backward nations, do these backward nations are also in a race of it? Because as there is a word called as a globalization. Today the developed nations, they are striving very hard. Today the strong nations are striving very hard to take their material from one nation to the another nation. And in this globalization, those nations which are competing with the developed nations, they are standing, but those nations which are unable to stand, they are in they are in a force to adopt the products of the other nations, which once again hampers the economy of the which one economy of the that particular country. So now it's a time to what to do to stop the policies like imperialism, the policies like colonialism. And India strongly support towards the end of stop of imperialism as well as colonialism, and promotes to those all nations who are in need of a development of the economy. Today, India has developed a very strong relationship with a number of African nations, or we can say to all the other nations who are still in a stage of developing. India has made provided the economically help to all those nations so that they can also compete with the developed nations. Then only what we can do, we can eradicate economic inequality from the society. We can do it. Our next topic, which speaks related to the terrorism, which is also one of the biggest global challenge. It is not all. Somewhere economic inequality, somewhere it can be faced by the world. Somewhere human rights related to it can be faced by the world. But terrorism is not like that. Terrorism is one of the biggest challenge to the whole world. It is one of the biggest challenge to the world. Terrorism. Terrorism which is not having any sort of humanity. This is the terrorism which creates a imbalance or fearness among the minds of the people. This terrorism is not particularly to any of the country. This terrorism only and only have taken birth to disturb the peace mind of the people. No country promotes the terrorism, but some of the nations are there to fulfill their dreams. They try to bring up the terrorism. If we talk about the different incidents, if we talk about only about India, every year we tackle with the terrorist who cross borders from the way from the Pakistan, who always with the help of these terrorists supports the terrorism and tries to disturb to the home to the India. But how come Indian force is able to tackle it? Moreover, it's not only about India. There are many number of terrorist organizations as like as ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, Hamas terrorist organization, Al Qaeda terrorist organizations, which has created many more are there, which have created an imbalance in the way in the world. You might have listened that in the year 2002, when WTC, World Trading Center of United States of America, was being destroyed, where more than 5,000 innocent people were being killed. Four planes were being hijacked and the building was being destroyed. There was a loss of life as well as property. If we talk about the India itself, if we talk about India itself, incident of Taj Hotel, Mumbai, instead of Taj Hotel at the Mumbai. If we talk about neighboring nation called as a Sri Lanka, in the church with the death killing of 45 people, Pulwama incident of India, in the same way, if you go to the Germany, France, where the terrorists are using the different methods like hijacking the cars, buses, trucks, and making them to go on those innocent peoples, entering into the those areas where huge amount of population day to day moves, like market areas. Bus stands are being chosen for the explosion purpose. Railway stations are being chosen for the explosion purposes. Terrorism is nothing but it's a one of the, we can say that those people who are the part of terrorism, they are nothing but they are inhuman people who do not know anything about the word called as humanity. Their only one agenda is regarding in the name of the God to create an imbalance and put up their strong rules on the way on the innocent people, and they used to live as like as a what, as like as a king, and the people, they want to make the people as like as a slave. So terrorism is one of the biggest hurdle in the development of the nations, as it creates a lot of problem. Like some of the negative effects we have been having, it causes loss of life and property, economic development hurdle there, because say if a building which is been constructed, it takes a long time with a lot of expenditure to construct a building, but if it is been destroyed with a bomb explosion, within the seconds the building will be, it will be fall down. Again reconstruction for that, again that much of money it is been required. So it shows what it is, that it's totally lost. Whether it is a fall of the bridge, it may be there, bus stands it may be there, railway stations it may be there, okay, malls it may be there, everything. So one of the biggest hurdle, mental disturbance, it's because we live in a fear, in what time, who is going to attack on us, with which weapons they are going to attack on us, whether they are going to just attack on us or they are going to kidnap to us, right? It's a talk related to think of the whole family. So here mentally disturbance, law and order which will be there, peace, law and order will be disturbed due to the which one, due to the terrorism. So these are some of the negative effects of the terrorism. To overcome all this, Indian government had decided to tackle to this terrorism in a different manner. Today, Indian government has strongly moved with the strong actions on the terrorism. Whoever been found in the disturbance of law and order, or who have been found in the disturbance of economic development or mentally disturbance, they are being now shot dead. Every year we kill, Indian government take a strong action on the terrorism and hits to near more than 200, 300, 400 terrorists who comes from the way from the Pakistan areas, strongly managed by the India with the strong departments, National Investigation Agency, NIA, Anti-Terrorist Squad, ATS, which is said as a ATS, Intelligence Bureau, which is called as a IB, Research and Analyzing Wing, which is called as a RAW. These are nothing but they are the strong pillar of our country in tackling that terrorism. The terrorism which has created an imbalance in the whole world. They kill the people for the different purposes. And we, the people of India, we are the lover of peace, we are the lover of humanity, we are, this is the ground of the big or great leaders like Mahavir, like Buddha, Mahatma Gandhi ji, Lal Bahadur Shastri. This is a land of totally a land of peace where till today Indian government is working very strong action regarding the disturbance of which is being made by the whom, by the terrorism. See, this is the land of the great leaders also like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, right? Who throughout his life who struggled hard for the maintenance of the peace in the way in the country. Gandhiji another side, our forefathers who fought with the British for the liberation of our country. Everyone contribute in the way for the peace of the nation. But this is a terrorism which is creating an imbalance among the number of nations. India is facing regularly, but it is a strong agencies which are been working. These strong agency, they day and night 24 hours they work for the nation, whether it may be NAI, whether it may be ATS, whether it may be IB, whether it may be a RAW, right? If human wants to live peacefully in this country, then the terrorism has to be eradicated or stopped, or it should be finished totally from the world. So these were some of the global challenges which were being faced by the world, and the role of India. So in this topic, dear, we have learned regarding the arms race, we learned regarding the terrorism, we learned regarding the economic inequality, and moreover, we learned about the foreign policy of the India. This all shows what it is that India present day in the year 2024 is standing on a highest to highest position and made taught them to live in a peace with all the number of other nations in the world. So this was all related to the chapter called as a Indian foreign policy and global challenges. Let us meet in our next session with one more new topic. And as usual, I say if any more queries are being there or repetition is being needed of any of the topic, yes, you come with your comments. Definitely, I will also come with the more explanation or more clearance of that particular topic. Let meet in our next session.